Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Business Exchange. It's your host here, Juan Toby, but we got an amazing guest with us. Please, everybody, welcome Jewel Tankard of Acetify.
Yay! What's up?
What's good, Jewel? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling really, really good. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So we got to know, we know you into making the woman, the ladies money out here, and not just ladies, but everybody. So tell us, what exactly is Acetify, and why did you start it?
So Acetify, that's my baby. And I started Acetify because I was really passionate about building my own real estate empire through affordable housing, single family, multifamilies. And then I started to just kind of share my journey with a lot of people in my community and friends. And they were like, oh, girl, can you, hook me up with a lender? Or, oh, child, what zip code should I buy in? Or, should I sell this right now? Should I get a tenant right now? Like the questions just kind of kept coming. And I realized that this was a space that I wanted to see a lot more people of color really start to invest in. And so that's how Acetify kind of came about. And so we've been really blessed to be able to help people from all over the country to invest in their cities, but not just in any city. Because I always tell people when you invest, don't just think about where you live, but think about where there's a demand, think about where there's revitalization. And so my focus right now is on my hometown, Detroit, Michigan. Tons and tons. Detroit in the building, 313. Okay. So that's kind of how we got started.
So what initially inspired you to dive into real estate?
I think initially it was twofold. It was financial impact and it was social impact. And I've been blessed to build and make millions of dollars by building and network marketing companies, products, digital products, and I've done really, really well. And but I was ready to diversify and really build in real estate. And I think that was my main thing. And when I studied like the wealth gap, because I'm an economist by profession, graduated from U of M, but when I studied the wealth gap, like you're not going to really ever close the wealth gap with people of color unless you deal with equity. And the only way to deal with equity is to deal with home ownership, but to take us further than home ownership, but take us into actually owning the territory. Because when you own the territory, you dictate the comps, you dictate the pricing, and then you also can ensure that people are not living in slums. Because there are a lot of landlords that are slumlords. They don't care about the people. They're living without heat. They're living without a working stove. It's pretty obnoxious. Huh?
Don't fix things for months.
Oh yeah, it's really ridiculous. And so the only way to really change that is whoever owns it controls it.
So I know this is probably many, many deals ago, but take me back to your first real estate deal. What did you learn from it?
So the first real estate deal that I did where I wasn't home ownership was 2017 when I bought my first property in the city of Detroit for probably like $10,000. And they were really, really low. I mean, you could still kind of get them like that, but not as much. So 2017, I bought a property for $10,000 on a street called Elmhurst on the west side of Detroit. And we did a clean out. A lot of times they'll leave all their stuff there and did some rehab and then put a tenant in there. And that experience was interesting because, you I remember dealing with somebody breaking in the house and then realizing that when you get a house, you also need to pay attention to the area and then also possibly get a house sitter because it's almost like establishing your new territory. Like I'm the new owner here. And so you really want to have a house sitter there, especially depending on the neighborhood, to just show presence and to show that I care. And then contractors, my contractors, I always teach them to make friends, pay for the neighbor's lunch, get their phone number, say, hey, look out, and let them know I really care about the neighborhood. And you really kind of end up building friends as you're doing the rehab, because otherwise it can be very common for somebody to come back. And in some cases, even a contractor, right? To come back and steal, the hot water tank or the furnace. So it's not all pretty. It's not all glamorous. But if you can kind of learn the neighborhoods and make friends, it can be a really rewarding experience.
How do you decide which markets or properties to invest in?
So when I look at markets, I'm looking at, because all real estate is not created equal, right? So let's just say, for example, let's take maybe a small city in Mississippi, right? You might you might want to go grab 10 acres out there, or you might want to say, I'd rather grab a half acre in a city like Detroit or Atlanta Because if there's no revitalization happening in that particular city, that land does not necessarily mean that it's going to go up just because you own the land, because it depends on what the mayor's cities are for the plan for that particular city. Is there industry coming there? Are there companies coming there? What's the employment rate there? What are all the possibilities? You want to look at the possibilities. You want to look at the future plans, and you want to look at maybe who some of the players are in the city. Now, if you're a big enough player, you can go into a small town in Mississippi and then bring another player so that you guys can build it up. But I find that it's easier to go into cities that already have a lot of great future plans, but there's still a big need, because you want to go where there's a demand and the supply is low, but the demand is high, which is why for a person that wants to become an investor, a landlord, because there's affordable housing crisis all over it, and particularly inner cities. So those are some of the things that I look for. I want to see what are the future plans of the city, what companies are in that city, what companies are possibly have their eyes to come to that city that could bring employment opportunities and an opportunity for you to come in and really fill a need, because you want to look to see where there's a need. So, for example, I wouldn't tell somebody to go and invest in New York. I'm really proud of what Floyd is doing. I think it's huge. That was a $60 million project that he did in affordable housing. Most people can't start playing in New York unless they're already wealthy. Where with cities like Detroit and outer skirts of, Birmingham and Atlanta, a person can come in with little on entry and start, right? The average guy can get in. But when you look to cities like New York, Vegas, Arizona, you have to already be wealthy to start to invest there.
What is a common mistake you see, I guess, first time investors making, and how can they avoid that mistake?
Yeah, dang, your questions are good.
Try.
So I would say a common mistake is not going in with enough credit. You really need to have, because when you look at a property, the first thing you want to do is get a contractor to do a walkthrough to get what we call a scope of work. Do we need new drywall? Do we need HVAC needs to be updated, plumbing, maybe electrical? So the contractor will give you a list of all the things that need to be done, right? Well, a lot of times, once that price, let's just say it says it's $20,000 to do a rehab. Well, by the time you kind of really get going, and he ends up uncovering things that he didn't anticipate, then it could end up being 30,000, even though he told you 10, 20,000. And I try to make sure that my contractors, like, whatever price you tell me, that's what I need it to be. Don't keep coming back saying and another thing, right? But the reality is that's a part of real estate. So if there is another thing that we did not anticipate, I want to make sure that there's enough money there. So I always tell people on your first deal, even if they tell you it's only going to be $20,000 to fix it up, tell yourself, I want to have $50,000 worth of credit available. So I have $30,000 to play with. And also, if it takes longer than I anticipated, maybe, he tells you it's going to take 2 weeks, and then you can put tenants in so you can start cash flowing. Well, what if it ends up taking 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks? And now you got to note that mortgage you still have to pay, the utilities you still have to pay. If you have enough credit, you can use your credit to make those monthly payments until the rent starts actually coming in. So I would say a common mistake is not having enough credit available to take care of miscellaneous things and ongoing expenses until it can start cash flowing.
I love that. I love that. Can you speak on, or why is it important to diversify your portfolio?
So I think that when I think diversification, I don't think necessarily that you need to play in all the asset classes. Like, I don't think it's necessarily to play in the stock market, gold and silver and oil and real estate. But I would say to kind of focus in on what is the asset class that you feel like that you really are attracted to, right? So like me, I'm way more heavy in real estate, and then after that crypto, and then after that the stock market. So I think that, and I think for anybody, honestly, I think the real estate market is the most stable out of all the asset classes, just because it's not as fast. Like, real estate is more of a long game, right? If you get 5 doors today, let's just say each of those tenants are paying you $1,000 a month. That's $5,000 a month that's coming in. You still have mortgage and expenses. Let's say your mortgage and expenses are $2,500, so you're cash flowing $2,500 a month. Well, I mean, that's good for some people, right? But depending on what your goals are, it's good either way. But then imagine if you do crypto, you might be able to make $2,500 in a day. but it's faster, but you can also lose. So I think when you think sustainability, dependability, and when you look at the wealthy and you pull back their portfolio, even Warren Buffett recently unloaded a ton of his stocks, but he didn't load all that in real estate, because real estate pricing is always bullish and rental income is always bullish. Anybody that rents will tell you that their rent has gone up every single year, probably 2 to 5%, right? So if you're the owner of that property and your rent is, and you're raising rent, as long as you're keeping the property maintained, that's a really good day for an owner. So I would say don't focus so much on diversification, but get focused and become really, really good at real estate. Get really, really good. And then once you've made some money there, then you might want to play and start buying some Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and things like that. But I would say master real estate, because in every recession, economic crisis, people are always going to have a place to stay. So if you own the property, you're going to always have cash flow coming in.
It is Women History Month. Who inspired you?
So yeah, I would say definitely I love Michelle Obama. I love her stance as a woman, as a thinker. She's a very independent thinker. I love her heart for humanity. Obviously, Oprah with her businesses. I love how Oprah said that she keeps her hands on all of the entities, even though she has a big team. She keeps her hand on the money, which I think is really important.
Smart idea.
Listen, Barbara Cochran, killing it, billionaire in real estate, started in New York years and years ago. And now she's built $1 billion company. I love Barbara. I love her vulnerability. She'll let you know, like, I don't know how to really do the math like some of my other counterparts, but I know good deals instinctively, and I depend on other people to do the math. So I love her for her vulnerability and saying, hey, listen, you don't have to be smart at everything. You don't have to know everything. Just whatever your genius is, tap into that and get with other geniuses, to kind of fill in those spaces where you don't feel as strong.
So I want to get into real estate tomorrow.
Yeah.
What do I need to do today? Or what should I do first?
So the first thing you'll do is we would do a free credit analysis with you. We have a credit department that's amazing. We would do a free credit analysis to see exactly where your credit is, why it is the way it is, how many hard inquiries you have, and then come up with a strategy. Okay, we're going to move all the hard inquiries, or maybe we need to lower the utilization, or maybe you got an old medical bill, student loans, bankruptcy, whatever. We're going to start just cleaning and getting all that stuff off. That's the first thing. And then after we get your credit score to about 650, we can then go to a lender and get you approved. That lender is going to approve you for 80%. Then we're going to help you to get business credit cards and or business lines of credit to pay your down payment and your closing costs. And I pretty much start all new clients off with, I try to really have all my new clients between 80 or 70 and 120,000, because I want them to start low. Because most people are.
What the bank will give you.
Yep. The bank will give you. So the bank will give you 80% of that. So let's just say we find a house for 100, or find a duplex, right? I'll tell you about a deal I'm doing right now. This duplex is $100,000. And they've already approved her for 80% of that. So she's going to have to come to the table with 20%. Yep, 20,000. So figure 25 with closing costs. So what we're doing is we've gotten her business credit cards and business lines of credit from some banks that we know are going to give her a yes. She actually has a really great credit score. So we'll use probably $25,000 in business credit. She'll have $25,000 left, because I work on getting all of my first timers $50,000 in credit, because I want you to have room to be able to play, because you got to put down an EMD, which is earnest money deposit, which is about $500 to $2,500 depending on the property. And then you're going to have your holding costs until we get the house back on the market. Then your monthly payment on that is probably going to be about $1,100 a month, with utilities and taxes and insurance. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, right? So figure this, Toby. Follow me here. You paid $100,000 for the house. Your monthly note is going to be probably about $1,100. You got 2 cash flowing tenants paying you Section 8, $1,300 upstairs and $1,300 downstairs. You're bringing in a total, huh?
You're making money.
Oh yeah, you're going to cash flow right away.
Wow.
If we don't flip it. But I like for our people to get into holding, because where you really make the money is when they start paying you every month. See, when you hit a lick, that's nice. But if you really want to develop wealth, you got to have it coming in every single month like clockwork. So eventually the first thing it does is start paying for your bills. Then get to a point where it's like paying for your lifestyle. Then it's like paying for your dreams, right? We just keep building that real estate portfolio up. So now your monthly note is $1,100, including taxes and insurance. You're bringing in $2,600 a month. So 2,600 minus 1,300 is what? $1,300. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Right? Then watch this. We'll pull the equity from the duplex. So let's just say the equity in that boy is 50,000. We pull out 40,000 and you go and you do the same thing. So now, opposed to using your credit card for your down payment and your closing costs, we're using your equity, right? To get your next property. We get another duplex. Same thing. 1,300 up, 1,300 down, 2,600. Note on that is 1,100. So now you got 1,300 times 2, right? Which is $2,600 a month. You have 4 properties that are going to continue to increase in value. And what's going to happen next year, 12 months later, as long as you keep that property well maintained, you're going to increase the rent, because rent can go up every single year 2 to 5%. And you keep doing it and you look up, and it doesn't have to take you a long time. You could do 10 doors in 2025. See, old school thought, oh, if I want 10 doors, that's going to take me years. Child, why? Who? Where? No.
Who, what, where, why?
We could do that this year. Before 2025, you can be walking out of here with 10 doors.
And no cap, Drew. How I sign up? Where I sign up at?
Listen. And then this is the other thing that I want people to think about, because a lot of times I have clients who are like, oh, I really wanted to get into commercial. I'm not mad at commercial. But what's happening with commercial buildings all over is, what's happening? They're sitting empty. You know why? Because businesses like Zoom, they're working from home. Everything is online. Forever 21 just filed bankrupt. Why? Because they had too much inventory. Their prices were higher than Amazon and Shein and some of these other companies. So they're beating them hands down. Everybody is getting on the app to buy their tank tops and buy their jeans, right? Party City. Nobody is really going to Party City. It's over.
Where am I going to get my Halloween costume next year? What's going on?
Listen, Amazon, right? Everything Amazon. So when Jeff Bezos created that concept, and this is the thing about business that I want people to understand, the key, becoming wealthy is speculation. Where is it headed? Where is it going to be? And so in the next couple years, they've already said within 5 years that if you, Toby, don't buy for your children their house, they probably won't own a house. You know why? Because they're going to be priced out. Yeah. So this is why it's important now for us to own homes, not just keep renting. You got to put all your focus and say, maybe 2025, I'm not going to spend like I'm used to. I would like to go on vacation. I like to go buy these new Jordans or like the whatever. But right now, I got to put my focus on an asset. Because the thing about that house, once whatever that mortgage is, it's not going to keep going up. Where rent is going to keep going up. You can guarantee it's going to keep going up. And every time you pay rent, you're making whoever those landlords are, you're making them richer. But you, at the same time, now you're struggling because inflation is crazy. And guess what? Your income, if your income is not going up at the rate of inflation, you're becoming poor, right? And so this is why you see the divide where you see people are either becoming richer or they're becoming poor. You got to get on the rich side. It's not going to be a middle ground. There will not be a middle class in the next 5 years. There will not be.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Miss Jewel, for just putting us on game and letting us know the game we need to know about this real estate industry. And it's something people need to know. Like, we gonna connect. Yeah. Please tell everybody where we can follow you at, find your business, Certify, and just even learn and sign up from you. Where do we find you?
Okay, absolutely. So everything is Jewel Tankard, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Jewel Tankard.
Thank you, Miss Jewel Tankard, for sitting on the Business Exchange, and we're rolling out. Hello.